So we're on to Daniel. I've got two Daniels. So this is Daniel A. Okay, so first of all, Daniel explained this a story of loss, of losing things to me. And then this is the question afterwards. I am now left with two useless things: an intellectual understanding of awareness and a futile search for it. I can still recognize that it is here, but there is so much pain and suffering to the point of despair. Do you have any suggestions? I find that the problem is my inability of sitting through pain. Immediately as it arises, there is resistance in the form of seeking. So he had an awakening experience, and then he had a lot of loss happen, and then in the loss, contraction happened. So who is the I that you think is sitting through the pain? The inability to sit through the pain, you put. Who is that I that's unable to sit through it? Of course it's being sit through. You're that which everything arises in. You're not the reactions to the pain. What you want is the end of seeking, the end of suffering. But what wants that is the suffering and the seeking. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like this loop. However, recently I was talking with a friend who's also a teacher, and they were saying that, and this happened here too, there came a point where there was no longer even a care if there was suffering or peace. And nobody could do that. No separate self could do that, because how can a separate self, how can that seeking energy, which is suffering, accept the suffering? It is suffering. There was just suffering arising, and there was no identity in it. I don't know what it was. All this trying to work it out and trying to get out of it is the seeking suffering energy, is the separate self, is thoughts bubbling up. So who's the one that wants to get out of it? Just trying to get out of it. It's another thought, just arising, giving the appearance of a separate self. And I really understand how uncomfortable it can be. Did you notice it's always the same feeling of suffering? It just heightens, it just gets even, it's just different levels. It's the same with pleasure. So something I was contemplating or thinking the other day is all pleasure and pain are the same. They just come in different packages. They just appear, with different thoughts with them, but it's the same energetic feeling. And there's always a limit to the suffering, even though it feels at the time there's not. Contraction and the pain in the body and the feeling so heavy and the mind. There's always a limit to the high of the pleasure as well. They always pass though. You're not doing it wrong. Most people, when they write to me, it's like, what am I doing wrong? What have I not seen? It's just as it is. You're not getting it wrong. There's no one there getting it wrong. If you see this better or do this better, it's not going to liberate you. Because let me tell you, here, there is no time. There's just life happening. There's no cause and effect. That's how it's seen from here. There is no cause and effect. So in me saying that from this perspective, by you dealing with your pain better or worse, or getting it wrong, that can't happen. Life is happening spontaneously. It appears in the story that it's happening through cause and effect and time and space. But really nothing's happening. And there's never anything that somebody's done wrong. You're not separate. You're not choosing the right way or the wrong way. Whatever is happening is exactly what is meant to happen. Like my teacher would say, it's all in the can anyway. It couldn't be any other way. Couldn't be any other way. I know that's brutal to hear when in suffering, because it feels like when in suffering, the relief comes when there's something to do, when you can do something that feels like some sort of relief or medicine. So when you're in that suffering, by the idea of doing something, it feels like a relief. But it's actually just the same dynamic as the suffering. It's still seeking energy. It's still separate self-doing. And you say immediately as it arises, there is resistance in the form of seeking. Of course there is. Because by the fact that you're suffering, that there is energetic suffering, mental suffering, there is seeking there. Suffering is seeking. So they're always going to go together. And you can't stay in the pain, because who is that you? It's hard when you haven't got the actual person there, because I'm not sure if I've explained it enough or said it in the right words. Oh, I think it's enough of questions. We've still got quite... Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. A lot, yes. Okay, we've only done... Oh, wow. We've only done 3 pages. Most of the questions I get is, how do I stay peace, and How do I avoid suffering? And both of them have the I in the sentence. How do I do this? And that is the suffering. The belief that you are a separate self who can do and control life. There is just life. There's just this. Just beingness. Working through this body-mind mechanism in apparent stories and thoughts and dramas and adventures. There's just life. This. All seeking energy is separate self. And the separate self will always be suffering. And the separate self might have great highs of pleasure. And if it's a very successful self, it might have great highs of pleasure. But it'll still always suffer. There'll still always be the agitation, the fear, the running. Pure and radical emptiness. There's nothing here. Just seeing, watching, experiencing, being. It's only the self that divides. But you're not doing the self. It's just beingness. Oneness is great creation of apparent separation. You didn't do it. You haven't done anything wrong. There is nobody there to do that. Self is just an accumulation of thoughts and energetic and sensory perceptions. Energetic contractions and sensory perceptions. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I said all that right. You get the sense of it though. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Come on then, you're going to say goodbye. Yes, who's going to say bye-bye first? Bonnie is. Oh, Ruggles wants to come up exactly the same time. Ruggles, come on then, you have to jump yourself. Come on then, Ruggles. I can't lift you up, I've got Bonnie. I can't do a one-handed lift. She's gonna kiss me. Eek. Oh, it's many breath. Okay, Ruggles, let's go now. Ruggles! Oh gosh, you weigh a ton. He has got like a teddy bear. It looks like a teddy bear. You want down now, don't you? No, you just want to sit a certain way. This is the way you want to sit. You want to lie down? Okay. Yes. He's a good boy. And you, Bonnie, you're such a good girl. Okay, I think that's everything for today. I'll try and get the rest of these questions. I promised, I wrote to people and said to them that I was going to answer their questions in this video, but I'll try and do the rest of the questions in the next couple of days. So you're going to have to watch another, the next one or two to get the answer if you didn't get it today. But as I've said many a times, it's not about getting the answer. It's about the end of the questions. Anyway, namaste. Thank you.